What is going on this morning, y'all? How y'all doing? That first sip of coffee in the morning. It really is, too, most of the time. So let me just give you there's a couple things I want to tell you about these videos. Basically, the way I do it is I get up at the same time every morning. I make I make the pot of coffee, and as soon as the pot of coffee is done, then I come in here and sit down and do it. The other thing is that I do read the comments for about the first 12 to 24 hours, depending on how busy I am. And many times, and a lot of people will be like, you spent, no, in the positive sense. What I do is I want it to be a conversation in the comment section afterwards, right? Yes, I'm sharing my opinion about stuff a lot of times on this channel, but I want to also get your view on it as well. So make sure that you share it in the comments. Also, on the other channel, where I posted a thing in the timeline, and then also on Facebook and on Instagram, that we're going to do another, like a Ask Me Anything sort of thing. And I'll probably do that like Saturday night, just kind of off schedule it'll be on the big channel. So get your questions in for that. We like mostly off-topic questions for that. So get those in. But yeah, it's fun because then you fuel the next video. And that's kind of what happened here. In yesterday's video, when we're talking about, the importance of brand, I think it might have been Jet. Somebody said, well, I have some kind of Jet guitar, which I don't have experience with. I just kind of lump that in those inexpensive instruments kind of category. Anyway, so he said, I'd rather have this than my Sir something. And my reply to that was, well, then I'll tell you what, if you like it better than your Sir, if brand doesn't matter to you, I'll take your Sir off your hands for what you paid for your Jet. People say that brand doesn't matter. Okay. On one hand, right? They say it's just a name on a peghead. Brand doesn't matter. Okay. So let's test that. Then out of the other corner of your mouth, or your other opinion, would be, because sometimes the same exact person will say this, I'd rather have my Harley Benton than my Gibson. I have Gibsons, but I only play. Okay. That may be true. I kind of doubt it, but it may be true. So let's test that statement. If I walked into your house right now, now let's set quality control aside, and let's say that, because I've really never received a bad Gibson. Like, I've bought lots of guitars. Okay. So let's say I had a brand new Les Paul, whatever the cool hotness is right now. Okay. Just a good Les Paul standard, let's say, right? And we're not talking about, well, I don't like that neck profile. So let's say I found the type of neck profile you like. I found your color. You like it. Okay. You have basically no reason to like this guitar, or no reason to not like this guitar. I've already narrowed it down. We're friends. And I walk in there and I say, I want you to have this guitar. I just want you to have it. In all these scenarios, you're not allowed to sell it. Okay. This is a gift. I want you to have it, but you can't sell it. That would be rude. Would you say, no, keep it, I already have my Harley Benton? I don't think so. Brand does matter. And the quality of that instrument does matter. I don't think you would say no. And if you do say no, you're either ungrateful, lying to me. You're not being honest with yourself. Okay. So let's continue this thought experiment. If I then walked into your house and I said, look, I know you have a Harley Benton. I know you have a Firefly. I know you have a Jet. I know you have a whatever. It doesn't matter. Fender Squire, Telecaster. You know, even Epiphone. You have one of the $899 Epiphones. You probably take a free guitar for sure. Now, next, let's take this to the next level. If I walked in and I said, "Hey, I know you have an Epiphone, and I know you like it. Here is the Gibson version of your guitar, but this is the real thing, the Gibson. I just want you to trade me straight across for your Epiphone, for your Harley Benton, for your Firefly, for your whatever." You would also say yes to that. I know you would. And I know that there's people that are going to get, "No, I wouldn't." Bullshit. Question number 3, taking this to the next level. If you're a person who has both, would you sell? So let's say you do have a Harley Benton and a Gibson, because maybe you do right now. I think a lot of people do, right? So I've said this all the time, that people with really nice guitars, really expensive guitars, also have cheaper guitars, which is really great. I think that's awesome. But let me ask you, if you have a Gibson, or if you have a Fender, or if you have a, some sort of PRS, whatever, and you also have one of those other inexpensive guitars, would you sell your expensive guitar for the same money that you paid for your Harley Benton, for your Firefly, for your Squire, for your Epiphone? You absolutely would not. You wouldn't. Why? Because the brand isn't just a logo. When people oversimplify that into just a logo, they're just paying for the name. They don't think about what that name represents. And they'll say that it doesn't represent something until there's money on the line. And most of the time, people will say it. They'll continue to blab that whole thing about buying just a name when they are not the purchaser, when they are not participating. But if you were forced to participate, I don't want to say forced to participate, but if you flip, I guess if you flip the script, and now you are in possession of some value because of the brand, then all of a sudden it matters. If you have a $3,000 guitar, you're not going to sell it to me for $399. You're not going to do it. Why? Because the brand means something. Now it means something. So this is the thing that drives me insane about guitar people, is the double standard they're in. It's weird because this is something that we don't do with other stuff. I don't get it. I don't know why. Now, there will be a culture of folks who are, I call them the Walmart shoppers, who are just looking for falling prices, right? They're price shoppers. I get it. There may be a need to do that because of economics and because of, their economic situation. I get it. So I don't want to speak negatively about anybody that's price shops because they need to, right? Then there's the other subculture of all of this, who is a price shopper because, these are the tighty-whitey guys, right? They just don't think there's any reason to spend any more money on anything than the cheapest thing possible. When there is a measurable benefit to spending a little more money than Fruit of the Loom tighty-whities, right? When you could look at bamboo fabric, when you could look at better seams, when you could look at something that would last longer, right, could actually be a better financial decision in the long term. Because of resale value, because of all those things. But people just don't want to see that. They just want to see the cheapest thing, so there's a culture there too, right? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that these groups do exist. Even in, so set those aside now. So now so we know that they exist, and it's totally fine. And that's great. You know why? Because there are products out there for everybody. There's a product out there for the person who genuinely cannot afford something more premium. That's perfect. That's great. So that's why we have entry point stuff for everything everything in life, right? We also have products for what I would call cheap people. And I don't mean people who can't afford things. I mean cheap people. You know what I mean. The tighty-whitey guys. So we have products for them too. Okay, so now let's set them aside. Now there's the person who has the ability, and I know that there's going to be a bunch of people in the comments that say, yeah, but guitar players are broke. They're not. They're not. Most of you, if you go look through the comments over the last couple months on our videos, especially on this channel, you'll put together that folks who participate in hobbies, okay, they collect things, they do things for fun, they are using they're using expendable income to participate in these hobbies. Now, they may have less or more expendable income, but they have it. And that's why you're here. You have a guitar, you enjoy your guitar, and you're not so broke that you can't find a way to enjoy and have fun. Okay? That's the majority of us. All right? So we've got those first two groups. We know that, and we know you're here, and we love you too, right? But the majority of folks are here just to have fun. And I do believe that the majority of folks who are reasonable human beings, and I give most of you, 99.9% of you who watch what we do, credit for this, that you are a reasonable person, and you would say, no, it actually, yeah, I wouldn't sell my Gibson for Harley Benton money. I do recognize the value in it. I do recognize the nuance of these various differences, because what I was getting to with all the kind of cost groups is that we don't do this with anything else. You would never, okay, if you are a person who has a new Chevy truck, would never sell it for the price of the junker that you have sitting in the backyard that you mean to restore, unless it's some vintage cool thing. But you would never sell, if your beginner set of golf clubs for the price of your latest, greatest golf clubs. You would never sell your house for the price of what you bought it for 10 years ago. Like, the sensibleness of added value exists in so many areas of life, but somehow with guitars it does not, and I don't understand it. And this thought experiment of selling a guitar for the price of an inexpensive guitar, or not accepting a trade, right? I'll give you a Les Paul, you give me your Epiphone. It's just ludicrous, right? Now there's going to be some dorks who like, okay, so let's address you. But you like your Epiphone. You probably do. I'm glad. That's awesome. But I prefer this guitar, and this guitar is more valuable, are two different conversations. I prefer this guitar, and this guitar has more features and more brand value and more financial value and more and better components and etc. Those are two different conversations. You can like what you like, absolutely, and I think that's awesome because you should. It's yours. You should like it. But those are not contradictions, right? And for some reason in guitar land, we make them into contradictions. I don't understand it. We're just human beings. So why do we do it for this stuff? Because we don't do it for anything else. You know, I'm not really sure why that is. Personal enjoyment of something does not affect market value, right? If you like a thing, then like that thing, but don't claim that affects the value of that thing in the market. You can't, because it's just not the same thing. You might enjoy driving your old car. You know, let's say you're from Denver and you have an old Subaru, like Matt. He has an old Subaru. He likes it. It's a truck, it's a car, it's a station wagon. He loves that thing. And but if I gave him a Porsche 911, he'd probably drive it. And he probably has no interest in that. But because he has no interest in that, really, because he's not a car guy, it doesn't make the car worth less. It doesn't make the Porsche worth less. And if these brands, if the differences between these products didn't exist, then the used market would tell you that. But it doesn't. The used market tells you that this guitar retains its value. This guitar does not. This guitar gets even this many views on a listing. This guitar does not. It tells you all those things. Why are used Gibsons worth more than used Harley Bentons? Well, because they're worth more. Because there's more to it. Why? Brand history, brand trust, brand everything. And this is because hundreds of thousands of people collectively decided that they're worth more. The aggregated opinion over time of a Gibson or a Fender or a PRS tells us that there's more value there. Why is there more value? Because of the history and legacy of brand, because of the quality of the product, because of the cost and parts. And, you know, people are still, it's funny, I do these videos and people are still getting in the, well, it's still not worth $3,000. Well, but it is. But it is. Because everybody says it is. I mean, it might not be worth it to you, so don't buy it. That's okay. Just make a different decision. But what you feel about it doesn't change it. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't think it's worth $3,000, then don't buy it. But that doesn't change the fact that it costs, first of all, for more than $400 to manufacture. Second of all, because there's those dorks too. I should do a $400 guitar video. These folks, oh my God. Anyway, all of that stuff. You know, you can't change the fact that the guitar costs what it costs. You can't change that fact. You can't change the fact that, you know, a house in Colorado costs what it costs. The value of the thing is not in your control just because you say you don't like it, right? The house thing is a great example. I don't know where you live, but where I live, houses are crazy expensive. I don't like it. I can't change it. I have to live within it, and then I make choices based on that, right? I have this 30-year-old house in this a little bit older neighborhood because I don't really have a choice. I'd love to have a brand new, awesome house, but the economics of the situation do not allow me to do so. So I just made a different choice. Do I begrudge anybody who lives in a bigger house than me, or a nicer house than me, or in a newer neighborhood than me? No, absolutely not. I love my house, actually. I've grown to love it even more as I make it mine. That's what we do. It's only the folks who can't do that, who are these people who are just like, for some reason, trying to devalue the fun that other people have. I don't get why you do it. So I wanted to share that today because it's an interesting test, really. I mean, if you're really honest with yourself and somebody brings you a very cool thing and you say, I'd like to give this to you, you wouldn't say no. If somebody came to you and said, look, give me something that is way less than this, worth way less than this, and then I will trade this straight across for it, you wouldn't say no. You just wouldn't. The reputation and the value and the, oh man, that's cool. That's a real Gibson. That's a real Martin. That's a real Fender. That's a real PRS. Hell yeah, I'll take that thing. That's rad. You would do it. And if you say you wouldn't, I mean, betterhelp.com/DylanTalksTone. I know we throw this in here, but you should probably go lay in bed, stare at the ceiling, tell somebody about your mother. There's nothing wrong with any of this inexpensive stuff. I'm really excited to learn more about it. But the folks that try to devalue other people's experiences, you're just idiots. I just don't understand why you do it. It's a weird way to spend your time.